How you doing? My name is Christopher Brown, host of the podcast Sports Talk with Chris, and today I got a banger YouTube video for you. In this YouTube video, we're going to be going over the NBA Draft Lottery. Now, yesterday on ESPN, the NBA just went over the Draft Lottery, where each team has a percentage to see where they're going to land, whether that's the number 1 pick, number 5 pick, number 7 pick, number 3 pick. And a lot of teams didn't land up where they wanted to, and they ended up losing their first-round picks, and we're going to get into it. In this video, we're going to talk about the losers of the lottery, the winner of the lottery. I'm going to go over, the order if you missed it and what I believe some of the teams should do. I'm not going to go fully in depth on every single pick and what every single team should do because I got a mock draft coming on my website in a few weeks. But I am going to talk about a few players that I would love to see in certain situations. Now, let's start it off. Let's start off, with the NBA Draft Lottery itself. Number 1, you have Detroit. Detroit is the first pick. They needed the first pick, and I believe what they should do is an obvious answer, but I'm still going to talk about it a little bit later. 2, you have the Houston Rockets. 3, the Cleveland Cavaliers. 4, the Toronto Raptors. 5, you have the Orlando Magic. 6, the Oklahoma City Thunder. 7, you have the Golden State Warriors. 8, you have the Orlando Magic again. 9, Sacramento. 10, the Pelicans. 11, the Hornets. 12, the San Antonio Spurs. 13, the Indiana Pacers. And 14, you have the Golden State Warriors again. Like I said, you see 2 teams in there twice. Team like Golden State with 2 lottery picks. Boy, I can't wait to tell you what I think they should do with that, but let's get into the losers, in my opinion, NBA lottery. First, I got to go with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, they might be in a better situation out of other 2 teams I'm going to name, but going into the NBA Draft Lottery, the fans of the Thunder and the people that work in the organization, they thought they were going to have 2 top 5 picks. I was talking to a guy on Twitter, through the DMs. He's a guy, is a huge fan of the Thunder. Man, he was very disappointed after the lottery was announced. You give a team like Sam Presti got 36 picks over the next 7 years, 2 top 5 picks in one draft, and you had the number 16 to 18 pick, they were going to do some magical things. But, like I said, I don't think they're that far off compared to the other 2 teams because they still have their pick, number 6, and they have the 16th and 18th pick. And knowing Sam Presti, he's probably going to make some moves to get some of the guys that he wants. But again, the reason why they're in here is you got a number 6 pick, that's fine, but you expected to have 2 top 5 picks. The Houston Rockets pick was number 5. That goes to OKC. And how their season went, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I'm a huge fan. He ended up getting hurt, towards the middle and then missed really the entire second half of the season. So you don't have him. You have, I think, like 21, 22 wins. Really one of the worst teams in the NBA, but very competitive. You expected to have one of those top picks. They just didn't get it, but ended up, with the number 6 pick. Like I said, they're not too far off, but man, just imagine having 2 top 5 picks in this draft. How this top 5 draft is going to go. Even though people say it's not the same as LeBron, D-Wade, Carmelo, Chris Bosh. You still got quality guys that's going to be able to have a huge impact on these teams. But again, number 16 and number 18 pick is not bad compared to a team like the Minnesota Timberwolves that I don't know what future they have. At least, with the Oklahoma City Thunder, we see it playing. We see them trying to build for now and the future. We don't know what the Minnesota Timberwolves are doing. When they traded, for D'Angelo Russell, we all know him and Cat, they got a relationship. They wanted to play together. They thought they would be able to get Devin Booker. At the end of the day, Devin Booker's not leaving Phoenix. Look at the, success they're having right now. They thought, he'd be bad. He asked for a trade. No. The Phoenix Suns are thriving. And so right now, look at the Minnesota Timberwolves, and I don't know what they're going to do. You bring in Anthony Edwards, who had an amazing rookie year. No, he didn't win Rookie of the Year. I don't want to say he didn't deserve it because he played phenomenal. I just think LaMelo was by far the Rookie of the Year. But you have him for the youth. You have D'Angelo Russell and Karl Anthony Towns, who are young, about to really enter their prime. But what else do you really have? Yes, you got some nice, decent young guys, but can you really win with them? Are they really in the plans for your future? Can they move the needle? And so you expect with the season that you have to have a lottery pick, but you don't. Instead, it goes to Golden State. So let's say this. Imagine the Timberwolves trade for D'Angelo Russell. They got to give up Andrew Wiggins, that's fine. But they also had to give up a lottery pick. Looking back at it, would you make that trade? think that's a fair question. You know, I like D. Russell, but is he worth the number 7 pick and a guy that's on the same level as him? You know, in order for the Minnesota Timberwolves to keep their pick, it had to be top, 1, 2, 3, or 4. I don't know. I think it had to be 1, 2, or 3. Didn't happen. And so I told my friends, and I only know a couple now, because I didn't know a whole bunch that existed, really, that the Minnesota Timberwolves was really against tanking from a player's perspective, because I know no player is going to go potentially lose, but put it on my GM, put it on my, hat, my GM hat, my guy that works the organization hat. You want to keep that top 3 pick. You want to get better. Now you have no first round pick. How are you really going to, improve your roster? You're not really signing free agents. You're going to have to overpay for some guys that's probably not worth all that money. Like, yes, you got 2 young stars and, one on the making in Anthony Edwards, but who can you attract to say come to Minnesota? How's the coaching staff looking? Why has this team been the same ever since Kevin Garnett left? The only time it changed is when you brought in a dog and Jimmy Butler, because you had to trade, a guy like Zach LaVine. Jimmy Butler was only there for a year. And so right now, the Minnesota Timberwolves, they're, one of the losers. They have a top 3 pick, who knows where they go? Do you get another backcourt guy, and you just have 3 guys, and, Anthony Edwards, D. Russell, and then, you go Suggs, or do you go Cade Cunningham? Do you get a wing scorer like Jalen Green? Do you get a defender? A guy like Scotty Barnes, who I feel like is going to be very versatile. Who knows what they do? But it's better than nothing. It's really better than nothing. So those, right now are the 2 losers I have. The third one I have the Chicago Bulls. I just mentioned them briefly. They had to trade away, Zach LaVine to get Jimmy Butler. Zach LaVine's in Chicago. Chicago just traded for Vucevic, but they ended up costing that number 8 pick. I don't think they were worried about their, pick, because in their minds they were making the playoffs. And I say this. Zach LaVine doesn't catch COVID, I believe they make the playoffs, because they were on pace. The East, I want to say the 6 through 12, really 6 through maybe 13, was back and forth for a while. Every team was very inconsistent. But Chicago, they were in that playoff race. They were in that, 6, 5, I want to say through 10 spot for a long time. But, after the All-Star break, you got Zach LaVine catching COVID. Players can't stay healthy. They got a bad break at the wrong time. And so entering the draft lottery, certain scenarios had to happen for you to keep your first round pick, but now you lost it. And so now look at this team. They have obviously holes on their team, right? Again, I thought they would make the playoffs, but that was because every team was, very, very inconsistent. You make the playoffs in a, it should be big market city in Chicago. I think you'd be able to bring in free agents, but now things go wrong. They got a lot of holes in their roster. I don't know what free agents they bring in. I don't know if people really trust that coaching staff. I don't really know if people trust this organization right now. And so, it's either make the playoffs, you bring something in, you lose, you get your lottery pick, but now, lose-lose situation. So I really think Chicago messed up. And real quick about Chicago. Where is Kobe White? I see him sometimes. I'm watching the games because, I got the Fire Stick. Shout out to the Fire. If you got a Fire Stick, if you get a Fire Stick, that's all I'm going to say. Can watch anything on there, anything on there. But basically, I was watching, I watched almost every single team, really every team's games. So I'm watching the Bulls, and I'm barely seeing, at times, Kobe White play. And I'm like, this guy is obviously the 3rd best scorer. And before Vucevic came on, and the 2nd best scorer on his team, and his minutes are spotty. So I'm really curious to see what's going on with that situation. So I believe he's a player that can help now for the future. But, yeah, the Bulls are in a tough spot. They're in a really tough spot. Now let's go on to the winners. First winner I want to talk about is the Houston Rockets. Listen, imagine if the Rockets, right, because this is about to happen. You trade away James Harden, right? Boom. One of the top 3, top 4 franchise guy of all time, James Harden. You trade away him, boom, he's gone. You pass down on Karis LeVert. You pass down on Jared Allen. Instead, you bring in Victor Oladipo. That's fine. Victor Oladipo is a nice guy coming off injury, trying to get, his feet back under him. But then you trade him to Miami. But you only bring in Avery Bradley, Kelly Olynyk. Like, the best trade that they made this year, it had nothing to do with James Harden and the pieces they got back for him. It was really Kevin Porter Jr., a guy who I'm a fan of, a guy who I knew was going to be successful in the NBA once given the right opportunity. I thought it was going to be with Cleveland. Things didn't go well, but I knew he was going to thrive over there in Houston because they're trying to rebuild. They got a lot of young guys getting a lot of minutes, and he's very talented. So I see him thrive. So I'm thinking to myself, man, that's fine, but he wasn't a part of the original trade. And so if you don't, even though this, trade had nothing to do with Harden per se. But if you don't get this pick, and this pick goes to OKC because of the deal you made, with Westbrook and stuff like that, and, and the deal you made with the Chris Paul, you don't get a lottery pick. People going to look at that as the worst trade of all time. Honestly. Because what young future piece did you get for your team? Again, the Kevin Porter Jr. trade was not a part of the trade. It wasn't. You trade away Victor Oladipo for him. It's probably not going to be there next year. Kelly Olynyk, who's nice, but why would he want to stay on a rebuilding team? He could be a key piece for another squad. I just think right now, I know for sure, if they didn't get their lottery pick, fans are raising hell. But instead, they got the number 2 pick. I'm going to be talking about, towards the end, what I think they should do with that pick, but they're in a beautiful situation. Right now, Houston, their future is bright right now because they got that number 2 pick. Another winner I have is the Toronto Raptors. The Toronto Raptors have the number 4 pick. Again, I'm going to be talking about what I think each team should do, but the fact that they got a top 5 pick, it works wonder for them because you can go through a quick rebuild. That's all the Raptors need. They have a top, they have a top coach. I don't know where I'd rank him. I'd say he's definitely top 12 without even thinking. You got a top 12 coach, okay? You got Siakam, a guy you want to build the future with. You got Boucher, who I like. You just brought in Gary Trent Jr. You got OG Anunoby. You got a lot of young guys that you like that you want to build the future with. You got a guy in Kyle Lowry who a lot of top competitive teams are going to look for, like the Lakers, maybe the Sixers, maybe the Miami Heat, and teams like that. You'll be able to make a trade and bring us some more assets, But now you got a number 4 pick. You draft the right guy, you trade Lowry and get the right things, boom, you back in the playoffs. Because I didn't want to, when I made my, Eastern Conference playoff predictions, I really didn't want to put them in the playoffs because I knew I didn't like the roster. I didn't like it compared to other teams in the Eastern Conference, and I just had a feeling things were going to go well with their playing style because I don't believe Siakam's a true number 1. But I was pressured because my friend said, there's no way the Raptors aren't going to make the playoffs. It looked like I was right. I should have stuck with my gut. But the fact that when I look at teams that are in the top really 6, and they have the best team, that I feel like can have a quick turnaround, and you get a number 4 pick, you're in prime spot. Even, I say this, I think the only way they'd probably be like a loser if they fall outside the top 10. Even though I believe, again, this is another draft where you can get quality guys. When you're a team that wants that quick rebuild, you're about to trade away a guy I believe in all season that's arguably the greatest Toronto Raptor of all time, you want to have a top pick to bring in a young top prospect, and I believe they're going to do that. The next team I'm going to talk about who's a winner is the Golden State Warriors. I'm going to drop this hot take, probably when this video drops. So this will either be dropping Thursday or Friday. But my hot take, man, the Warriors can get whoever they want. They're going to be a top 3 seed next year. Let me tell you why. I told everybody, do not. This is why I said I wanted it. As an NBA fan, I laughed and I smiled because I said, if the Timberwolves keep wanting to win, they're not going to get their lottery pick. Please don't give the Golden State Warriors 2 lottery picks because now the Warriors can do whatever they want. Again, I'm going to be talking about what I think they should do, but you got the number 7 pick and the number 14 pick. If you want to go young, you want to build for the future, you can do that. If you want to trade for a superstar, you can do that. You could possibly do both. Unless you're getting a top 10 type of guy. I don't know what guy is worth the number 7 and 14 pick, but you might be able to keep those too because you got guys that you possibly want to move on to, like a Kelly Oubre with a sign and trade. Maybe Andrew Wiggins, depending on what piece you can get. Maybe you want to trade, James Wiseman to move up and get somebody else like that. The Golden State Warriors, they might be the biggest winner in the lottery because, I talked about the Raptors and how I said top 6. The Warriors were 7 because they're really the team, and if I didn't say top 6, I meant top 6 because they're really the team, that has the best turnaround. Like I said, I think they're going to be a top 3 seed because what do you get back next year? You get back a healthy Klay Thompson, even if he's still not the best defender like he was first team on defense. I believe one of the best defenders in the NBA. You got Andrew Wiggins, who's not a slouch on defense. And so Andrew Wiggins can really take up guarding the team's number 1, ball handler, that guard, that wing. And Klay Thompson is a number 2 defender, is no slouch as well. You get him back James Wiseman, a guy who I believe in, who I think is going to thrive over there, learning from Draymond Green. You're going to get easy shots now. You got Klay back, another shooter. You're going to get easy shots with Steph Curry. He's easily, I believe, going to average, 14-8 next year, maybe 15-8, depending on the looks he get, how he works this offseason. But if he keeps working on that elbow jumper, the three is nice, but if you keep working on that elbow jumper, he's really going to thrive in the defensive end. Just keep learning from Draymond. But you get back those two guys. You already have Poole, who I like off the bench. You're going to get back a healthy Eric Pascal. You got Looney. You got Bazemore. You got Tuskegee Anderson. You got Nico Mannion, who drafted last year. You got a nice couple of pieces right there. The Warriors are in prime position. Like I said, I believe they're going to be a top 3 seed overall in the NBA, not just in the West. And depending on what they do, what I think they could do, they might even be my favorite to win a championship. Yes, my Sixers are not the favorite of mine to win a championship, but that's another story. Lastly, the team I believe, before I get into what I think each team should do as a winner, was the Orlando Magic. You trade away Vucevic, you trade away Aaron Gordon, you trade away Evan Fournier. These are 3 guys that's been with your franchise for, probably, I think, they had the longest tenure with that franchise with the roster they have right now. So you trade away those 3 guys, and what's the best way to have a nice rebuild? You get 2 lottery picks. You get a number 8, and you get a number 5 pick. That's amazing. Because now you can do 2 things. You don't have to focus and try to think, okay, we got to get one guy that has to be the franchise guy. One guy that has to be the franchise guy. Because at the end of the day, they have a lot of young pieces in hand. And so now you can look at what you really need. Sometimes people go, best prospect versus team needs. But now I believe when you have 2 lottery picks, you got a lot of young people on your roster. You can go more team needs versus, best available. You can go best available with number 5 and then number 8. Go team needs. Or you can make a trade. The Orlando Magic are in prime position to be competitive again. Not saying that they're going to turn around and make a playoff run. But when I look at young teams with a bright future, you give them 2 lottery picks with a lot of guys that I like on their roster. Oh, it's going to be beautiful over there in Orlando. But to wrap it up, let's talk about what I believe each team should do. Now, Detroit, obviously, in my opinion, should go Cade Cunningham. Who cares how him and Hayes are going to fit together? At the end of the day, in the NBA now, I believe you need 2 guys that, are combo guards, dynamic guards. Together, you can average 40 and 10 assists. One can play on ball, off ball at different times. You both can attack the defense. I believe he's the best prospect. He reminds me of Luka, but I don't really like comparing players. It's hard to compare players because there's not all the time we have a player that plays exactly like another one. And I think he's way more athletic than Luka. He likes to, finish at the basket more than Luka. It's a different game. I don't know if he has the same feel. At the end of the day, Luka's been playing with pros for all his life. Luka might be a better passer, but, he has the size, he has the athleticism, he has the wingspan. He's gifted. He is the best prospect. And like I said, I don't care if you just drafted Killian Hayes with a top 8 pick. You go Cade Cunningham. You have to make that work. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. You have to make that work. You had 2 guys that were all rookies. This is Sadiq Bey, who I think is a good 3-and-D guy for the future. And then you got Isaiah Stewart, which is a center. And so you're going to have a young team. You have Cade Cunningham, Hayes, Sadiq Bey, Grant, and Stewart. That's a nice team. Again, not saying they're going to make the playoffs, but you don't pass up on Cade Cunningham. Number 2, the Houston Rockets. Man, they're in a great situation. Because they can go Jalen Suggs, your point guard for the future. You like John Wall. John Wall is in the back end of, his good days, his good years. He's not playing another 10 years. So you want to get a good young guard for the future. I like Kevin Porter. He's more of a 2/3. He can be a secondary ball handler, a guy that can score, but you want a point guard on that team. And I like Jalen Suggs, second best point guard in this draft. Very good player. You have him. You also have Jalen Green. If you want to get another wing in there. You want to have 2 dynamic wings, a 2 and a 3 that are just attacking. Kevin Porter Jr. showed that he could be, a playmaker at times, even though he's a gifted scorer. And Jalen Green is coming into this draft, I believe, the best wing available, a very gifted scorer, and a lot of teams really don't want to pass up on him. And when I look at the Houston Rockets, get another wing in there, a young wing, that could help you win now. Because I think he comes in probably to start and he's getting instant minutes. Or you can go Evan Mobley, which I believe is intriguing because if you go him, you have him and Christian Wood. To me, that is the front court for the future. That is the best. That is the perfect best. I don't know what word I wanted to say. I almost cussed, but I didn't. That is the perfect front court for the future. You can have a 4 and a 5 that are very versatile on both ends of the court. That can go out and switch on a guard if they have to, switch on a wing if they have to, or they can hold down the paint. On the offensive end, they could step out. They could hit a jumper. They could put the ball on the ground, or they can score in the post. That is a dynamic front court. And honestly, when I look at Houston and I look at our front court, I'm not saying that they're going to be the next of this front court, but I look at when they had Akeem Olajuwon, when they had Ralph Sampson, the Twin Towers. Hakeem is at his natural position at the 4. I believe Christian Wood is more of a 4 than a 5. Even though in this NBA, teams like to go small, I still just believe he's more of a 4 than a 5, and I believe Evan Mobley, is the future center for the NBA as far as his skill set. And I like those two guys together. So I believe those are probably the top 3 guys at that number 2 pick that you have. There's no way I believe the Detroit Pistons pass up on Cade Cunningham, but if they do, it's a no-brainer that the Rockets go Cunningham. 3, let's talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers. When they first got announced at number 3, talked to one of my, associates that, covers the Cleveland Cavaliers, and I asked her, what do you think the Cavs should do? Answer was good as mine. Who knows? If you look at the Cavs roster right now, they're probably going to have to make a trade before NBA draft. I'm hearing, and I'm pretty sure if you not, watched my Instagram video, I talked about, the reports and the articles that I read of Colin Sexton and, teams executives saying this. Cavs don't know if they want to sign him to that extension, so he could possibly be traded. Do you go to another? I was about to say quarterback because your point guard is really your quarterback, but you go another point guard. Do you make Garland, your guard? I believe you go Jalen Green because regardless if you want to sign Sexton or not, he's going to be that wing scorer that you have, and if you keep Garland as your 1, he could play, Jalen Green the 2 or the 3. You have Jared Allen. I'd be shocked. I'd truly be shocked, if the Cavaliers, draft Mobley if available. But, if they do that, then there's a lot of teams that I'm looking at that could possibly, take advantage of that and move on to go get a Jared Allen. But I'm going to talk about that. I have a hot take with that a little bit later. 4, you got the Toronto Raptors. Listen, they want their franchise point guard. See people on Twitter saying they want Jalen Green. You have OG Anunoby. You have Pascal Siakam. You have Gary Trent. Those are your wing positions. Your shooting guard, small forward, power forward. You got Boucher, who I believe is your franchise center. You got to go point guard because at the end of the day, Kyle Lowry has to be traded away for your franchise to really thrive again. So you bring in a Jalen Suggs that's available. But, moving forward, like I said, I don't want to go too in-depth with every team, an exact player that they need. I just say with Orlando Magic, you go best, you can go best available with 5, and then team need at number 8. You got the best of both worlds. I'm looking at the Oklahoma City Thunder. If Scotty Barnes is available, this is the one I'll say. He's available. I love that. Because you got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at the 1. You have Lou Dort. You bring in Scotty Barnes, who's a guy that is a defensive beast, can play the 3, can play the 4. I think that's a huge pick, and he has a, tremendous upside. And I'm going to be mad if the Orlando Magic got him as well because, I say he'd be a better fit in OKC because the Magic kind of got somebody like that. And Jonathan Isaac, guys, Florida State guys that are just coming to the league, a couple years. Jonathan Isaac, I believe this year would have been his breakout year if he didn't tear, his knee up in the bubble. But I believe next year Jonathan Isaac is going to put a lot of people on notice and become one of the best two-way, guys in the game. And I think Scotty Barnes really has that in him. I think right now I see more potential in the offensive end than I did from Jonathan Isaac, and it was more, defensive potential from Isaac what I saw. But, Scotty Barnes has a chance to be one of the best, young two-way guys in the game. Golden State, like I said, you can go young if you want. But I wouldn't be surprised if Golden State goes all in and they bring in a, superstar who's unhappy. They bring in, a lot of quality guys, really fill out their roster. Get a guy that you could trust to be a real 6-man off the bench. A veteran guy coming off that bench. Bringing in another wing because I don't see Kelly Oubre re-signing to just come off the bench. I believe he's a starter. I just believe, the Warriors were trying to use him as more of a shooter, kind of like Clay, and I believe he's a guy that is a rhythm scorer that can shoot, yes, but he likes, he's a guy that can put the ball on the ground and likes to. So I believe they're going to move from him. So you can package some things together and make some moves. I'm looking at a guy like Spencer Dinwiddie. I believe he's a full-time starter, but I'm going to be mad if they package that up. Actually, I would. That's too much. I don't see them giving that much up for Spencer Dinwiddie, that number 7 pick. But the point being is that they have, the most ammunition in the league right now to get whatever they want. And you look at them, what player doesn't want to sign with Golden State? Everybody's going to get enough touches. You have, a great starting 5 right now. If I'm Golden State, you only make it better. And you retool that bench, and you're, like I said, man, they're a top 3 seed. Again, number 8, Orlando, you go best available. Sacramento, you need everything. You need a new head coach. You can't draft that. But honestly, with Sac, I don't know what you do. I don't know what Sacramento does. I say, they really could use more of a wing or a big. I think it's time for, to move on from Bagley. I don't know what's going on with Hassan Whiteside, so if you can get it big, that'd be fine. New Orleans, it depends on what their free agents do with Lonzo, with Josh Hart. Do if they re-sign, the great. If not, you probably look to get another guard in there. Charlotte, Charlotte needs to go center. And, I'm probably going to make a hot take coming soon, but look out for Charlotte making a move to try to get, a Jared Allen or try to get a Mobley. I wanted them, if you remember my hot take, during the season when Andre Drummond, the reports, were saying that he is going to get bought or traded. I really wanted the Hornets to be in the mix because I really believe they're center away. You have Lonzo, you have Rozier, you have Gordon Hayward, you got, P.J. Washington, or you can throw Miles Bridges in there. You got a lot of quality guys 1 through 4, but you don't have a center. I look at them and, you drafted 2 centers in the second round. That's fine. They're good guys. They have some potential. Nick Richards could be, a guy, some potential. I say Carney shows more offensive potential. I look at Bismack Biyombo, look at Cody Zeller. They're more veteran guys that, they do their job, but it's like a center by committee. No center really stands out and does anything exceptional. Bismack Biyombo, he fooled everybody. I think he had a year with the Raptors. Everybody thought he was this, but he's not that. But point being is, though, if you can get, you look at the Cavs, you look at Toronto, even the Magic, I don't, know if I don't see the Magic going guard or, center because they got Mo Bamba and they have, Wendell Carter. Again, I don't see a way that Mobley falls past, I don't see a way he falls this far. But if somehow, some way, Charlotte can move up in the draft and get him, I say it's a no-brainer. Or if for some reason that the Cleveland Cavaliers want to draft him, you trade for Allen. Again, that's probably going to be my hot take coming out soon because I said this all year. Give Charlotte Hornets the center, and they're in the playoffs. They were in the playoffs this year until LaMelo and Gordon Hayward got hurt. But, to wrap it up, the rest of the lottery teams, San Antonio Spurs, I think they need a center as well. You got a lot of young guards, a lot of young wings, but you don't have as young big men that I trust, per se. And then you have the Pacers, at number 13. I want to be mad if they made a trade. You got some free agents you got to take care of, but, let's see, son, everybody, you got, your main guys locked up. You got T.J. Warren, who's healthy. They're making the playoffs. You brought in Karis LeVert, who's healthy. You're making the playoffs. You have Brogdon. You have Sabonis. You have Miles Turner. You have a very good starting 5. You really need to make that bench stronger. So, do you make a move and try to get a great 6th man in there? I wouldn't be mad if they did that. Like I said, Golden State is the number 7 and 14 pick. They can do whatever they want. I believe you trade for some, veteran guys. You can make a move and get a whole bunch of guys for the bench or get a stud superstar in that starting lineup. For me, they're the best winner of the draft lottery. But that's a wrap with the NBA draft lottery episode. I got a lot of stuff coming out with the draft. Make sure you follow me on my socials, linked down below, all of them, my Facebook page, my Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, all that stuff. I'm going to be posting a lot about the draft in the next couple of weeks. And my website will be up very, very soon. And my mock draft will be up in a few weeks. Probably I would say I give it around 4th of July. You'll probably see my website up. Giving my mock draft 1 through 60. It's a lot of guys who I believe are going to, show a lot of people that they should be, a top pick, especially the draft combine game. I'm looking at a guy like Deshaun Holland, a Delaware guy, watched him play in high school, watched him at VCU. And, when you're in a, smaller school per se, people don't really, I'd say the how can I say this? The casual might not know you compared to a guy from Duke. And I believe that, the March Madness, and I said this last year, took away from some of the guys that, say they were a 30th or, in a second-round pick. They're jumping up to a first-round pick because of March Madness. And sadly, VCU Rams weren't able to have their March Madness. And so I'm looking at Deshaun Holland, like I said, Delaware guy nicknamed Bones. I believe he's going to have a very, very, very good draft combine games. Very good shooter, very good scorer, very good defender, has the length, has the size. Just keep adding muscle. He'll be fine. I'm looking at Luka Garza as well. I'm not going to try to go too in deep, save it for the mock draft, but he's another guy who I saw was going to be in a combine game, and I believe, like I said, Mobley is the center for the future, but I look at Garza, and I believe he's a quality center. off the bat, he can come in and be minimal, but Enes Kanter is a center that you trust that can get rebounds, that can score on his own. Doesn't have to have somebody else, get him involved. He can get himself involved in the game. And there's other guys, Josh Christopher, Isaiah Todd, who I saw probably going to be, in the draft combine game. Listen, studs. They play in the game. They do well. Their name goes up. They work out well. Their name goes up. Maybe sneak into the draft lottery because coming out of high school, everybody thought these guys would be lottery picks. But again, that's about for this episode, NBA Draft Lottery. My mock draft, like I said, will be out in the next few weeks. I'm going to be dropping some podcasts and a lot of social media content on NBA Draft. But thank you all for tuning in. Let me know who you want your team to draft. Let me know who you think is going to be still to draft. Be a diamond in the rough that can potentially be, a second-round pick or somebody that you believe that should be a lottery pick, but you're not seeing in the mock drafts. Thank you all for watching. Peace out.